I want you to picture two women. Same city, same age, same job title. They even graduated from the same university. One of them checks her bank account every morning with a knot in her stomach. 4 days before payday, she's calculating whether she can afford groceries without dipping into her credit card. The other one checks her account with the kind of calm that only comes from knowing exactly where you stand. She's not rich, she's not making more. She just figured something out that the first woman hasn't yet. This isn't a story about income. It's a story about a trap, one that's quiet, invisible, and designed to keep you exactly where you are. And today, I'm going to walk you through how it works, why smart people fall into it, and the specific moves that get you out. Let me start with something that might irritate you a little. Most of the financial stress people carry has nothing to do with how much they earn. I know that's hard to hear when your account is running low, but the data backs it up. According to a 2025 Goldman Sachs report, 41% of Americans earning between $300,000 and $500,000 live paycheck to paycheck. 4 out of 10 people making $500,000 a year feel like they have no financial cushion. They earn more in a month than many Americans earn in a year, and they're still stressed. So if income isn't the problem, what is? It's the gap between what comes in and what quietly, automatically, invisibly goes out before you ever make a conscious decision about it. I call this phantom spending, and it's the first place I want you to look. Here's what I want you to do this weekend. Open your bank statements. Go back 3 months, add up every recurring charge, not your rent, not your car payment, the other stuff, the stuff that just happens, the streaming services you subscribed to during a free trial, the gym membership you use twice a month if it's a good month, the app you downloaded for a project you finished 2 years ago, the meal kit subscription you paused but never actually stopped, the cloud storage plan you upgraded when your phone was full, the language learning app you opened 4 times and forgot about, the news subscription you've never read, the meditation app that was supposed to change your life. Most people who do this exercise find between $200 and $500 per month in charges they'd completely stopped thinking about. That's not money they consciously chose to spend. That's money they forgot they were losing. Here's why that number matters more than it looks. $300 per month invested consistently at a 7% average annual return becomes $41,000 in 10 years, not from earning more, not from a side hustle, just from stopping a leak you didn't know you had. And that's just the beginning, because once you find the phantom spending, you start to see something else, a pattern. Most of us aren't losing our financial futures to one big bad decision. We're losing them to dozens of small, invisible, automatic ones that stack up month after month while we're busy living our lives. The subscriptions are the surface level. What runs underneath them is a belief system, and that belief system is the real thing I want to talk about. Most people believe that financial security is something that happens to you. A raise, an inheritance, a good year, a windfall, something external that finally tips the balance in your favor. And because they believe that, they wait. They wait for the raise before they start investing. They wait until the debt is paid before they start saving. They wait until things feel more stable before they make any real moves. The waiting is the trap, because the raise comes and the lifestyle expands to meet it. The debt gets paid and a new one appears. The stability never quite arrives, and 5 years pass, then 10, then 20, and the accounts look exactly the same as they did when the waiting started. I've watched this happen to people who are genuinely smart, people who understand compound interest intellectually, people who know they should be doing more. The gap between knowing and doing isn't a knowledge problem, it's a structure problem. And structure is something you can actually change. Let me show you what I mean. Most people save like this. They earn,
They spend, and then if anything is left at the end of the month, they put it aside. I understand why that approach feels logical. It's how most of us were raised to think about money. Earn first, spend second, and save whatever remains. The problem is that what remains is almost always nothing. Human psychology makes sure of it. There's always a birthday dinner, a car repair, a week when stress sends you straight to online checkout at midnight, a celebration that seems reasonable in the moment, a necessity that couldn't wait. The savings never accumulates because it's always the last priority, and last place never gets funded. The shift that changes everything is deceptively simple, and most people resist it because it feels too small to matter. Stop saving what's left after spending. Start spending what's left after saving. What that looks like in practice, on the day your paycheck hits, before a single bill is paid, before you even look at what's due, a fixed amount moves automatically into a separate account. Not a lot, not enough to feel painful, just enough to be real. You never see it sitting in your checking account. You never have the chance to spend it. The money is gone before your brain registers it as available.
This isn't discipline. Discipline is what you need when you're making a decision. This removes the decision entirely. The system handles it. And system beats intention every single time, especially when life gets hard, when you're tired, when you're stressed, when everything feels urgent at once. I've watched people transform their finances with this one structural change, not because they suddenly had more willpower, not because they started budgeting obsessively or tracking every coffee and every meal, because the system handled the savings automatically, and everything else fell in line around it. Start with whatever feels completely painless, 5% of your income, even 3%. The percentage matters far less than the consistency. Once the habit is built and the structure is in place, you increase it gradually. But you have to start somewhere, and you have to make it automatic. That is non-negotiable. Now, before I go any further, I need to address something that trips up almost everyone who starts making financial progress. Because right around the time people get a little traction, a big question appears. And the answer to that question can either accelerate your wealth building or quietly destroy a decade of progress. The question sounds like this. Should I be buying instead of renting? Isn't renting just throwing money away? This idea that renting is always worse than owning is one of the most expensive pieces of conventional wisdom still circulating today. And I want to walk through the actual numbers because the math is not what most people have been told. If your rent is $1,650 and the equivalent mortgage on a home you're considering would be $2,340, that $690 monthly difference is real money with a real opportunity cost. Invested consistently over 25 years at historical market returns, that difference compounds to roughly $600,000. That is not a rounding error. That is a retirement fund. Then there's the down payment. Say you put down $55,000 to buy. That same $55,000 left invested in the market for 25 years becomes well over $300,000. Again, that's not hypothetical. That's compound interest doing what compound interest does when you leave it alone. And that's before we account for the costs that don't show up in the mortgage payment. Property taxes, HOA fees, maintenance and repairs, which the industry conservatively estimates at 1 to 2% of home value annually. The roof that needs replacing in 12 years, the HVAC that fails on the hottest day in August, the water heater, the foundation, the things you didn't budget for because you didn't know they were coming. A $400,000 home carries roughly $4,000 to $8,000 per year in maintenance costs alone. Most first-time buyers don't factor that in. They're looking at the mortgage payment and calling it a day. None of this means home ownership is wrong. For a lot of people, at the right time, with the right numbers, in the right market, it is absolutely the right move. Equity is real. Stability is real. The emotional value of owning your own space is real. I'm not dismissing any of that.
What I'm telling you is to run the actual math before you run toward a decision that culture has already made for you. Emotional math and financial math are very different calculations. The conventional wisdom was built for a different economy, different interest rates, different home prices, different wage growth. The rules have shifted. Make sure you're solving for your actual situation, not the one you inherited from your parents' generation. Now let me give you the framework that actually works, not theory, the specific mechanics in the order that matters. The first move is automating your savings before anything else touches your paycheck. Set up a separate high-yield savings account at a different bank than your checking. Physical separation matters psychologically. If the money is one click away, it will get spent. If it requires logging into a different institution, the friction alone prevents most impulse withdrawals. Name the account something meaningful: future, freedom, my number, whatever connects emotionally for you. Then set an automatic transfer to happen the day after your paycheck clears, not the same day, the day after, once it's settled. Start with $200 per month if that's all you can manage. That's $2,400 a year. Most Americans save less. The automation does what willpower cannot do consistently. The second move is running what I call the replacement test on every recurring expense in your life. Go through your statements, every line item, every monthly charge. For each one, ask yourself one question. If this disappeared today, would I go out of my way to get it back? Not would I miss it, would I actively resubscribe or repurchase it? Most subscriptions fail this test immediately. The gym you pay for but don't use, the streaming service with one show you like, the app that seemed useful once. Cancel them, not forever necessarily, but now. The money you recover here is some of the easiest money you will ever find. No side hustle required, no extra hours, just stopping the bleed.
The third move is opening a retirement account and contributing to it consistently, even when the amounts feel embarrassingly small. A Roth IRA if you qualify. A 401k up to the employer match at minimum. That match is the closest thing to free money that exists in personal finance, and leaving it on the table is one of the most common and most costly mistakes people make. Here is the number I need you to hold on to. If you are 32 years old and you invest $300 per month starting today, at the historical average market return of around 10%, you will have approximately $660,000 by the time you are 67. If you wait until 42 to start the same contribution, you will have approximately $240,000. Same monthly amount, same discipline. A $420,000 difference. That gap exists entirely because of time, and time is the only financial resource you cannot earn back, no matter what you do, no matter how hard you work, no matter how much you eventually save. The fourth move is what I call running the math forward. Most people evaluate financial decisions in isolation. This purchase is $80. I can afford $80. That's the entire analysis. What they don't do is run the number forward. That $80 invested monthly over 20 years is not $80. It's over $6,000 at a 7% return. The daily coffee habit is not $6 a day. It's $245,000 over a working life. The car payment on a vehicle you didn't need is not $600 a month. It's a retirement account that never got funded. This is not about guilt, it is about clarity. When you see what things actually cost in real terms, in time, in future dollars, in options you won't have, the decisions change on their own. You don't need more willpower, you need better math. The fifth move is the one most people skip because it feels like it doesn't count. Start before you're ready. This is the hardest one because it goes against every instinct that tells you to wait until you have a plan, wait until things settle down, wait until you understand it better. The people who retire with financial freedom are not the ones who had the perfect strategy from day one. They are the ones who started imperfectly and kept going. They contributed $50 a month when they couldn't afford more and increased it when they could. They opened the account before they knew what to put in it. They made the first automatic transfer before they had the full system figured out. The starting matters more than the starting point. Every month you wait is a month of compounding you cannot get back. Here's what I find most striking about the paycheck-to-paycheck cycle and why it persists even among people who are clearly intelligent and clearly motivated to change. The people caught in it are not making bad decisions. They're making completely understandable ones, one at a time in isolation, without ever seeing the cumulative effect until it's years later and suddenly obvious. A subscription here, a deferred savings contribution there, a home purchase that stretches the budget just slightly further than it should, a raise that gets absorbed into lifestyle before it ever reaches savings. Each individual choice seems reasonable in the moment. The math on each one makes sense when you look at it alone. The cumulative effect is a financial life that never quite gains traction, a bank account that resets to zero every month, a retirement account that grows so slowly it barely registers, a level of financial anxiety that sits just underneath everything, all the time regardless of what the paycheck says. The exit from that cycle is not dramatic. It does not require a higher salary, though more income helps. It does not require a windfall, though those exist. It does not require perfect timing or a bull market or a fortunate inheritance. It requires structural changes, specific ones, made once and then left alone to work. Stop the phantom spending. Make your savings automatic and invisible. Give your money time. Run the real math on the big decisions and start before you feel ready. That's it. That's the whole framework. 5 moves that anyone with an income can make, regardless of where they're starting from. The complexity of personal finance is largely manufactured by an industry that profits from confusion, by a culture that celebrates consumption over accumulation, by a financial media landscape that turns wealth building into entertainment when it's really just arithmetic. The woman checking her account with calm every morning is not luckier than the woman with the knot in her stomach. She did not earn more, inherit more, or stumble into better circumstances. She made different choices about structure. She decided that the system would handle what willpower couldn't, and then she left it alone long enough for the compounding to start. That is available to you, right now, not when the raise comes, not when the debt is paid, not when things feel more stable, now. The only thing that changes between now and 5 years from now is whether you started.